Former President Jimmy Carter has died at 100 years old. Thanks for joining us here at 6:30. I'm Alex Dieterer. The Carter Center confirmed the 39th president died this afternoon at his home in Plains, Georgia. Jimmy Carter had been in hospice care for more than a year. At 100, he was the oldest living former American president. Carter came to Kentuckiana several times, including in 1979 while running for re-election. He only served one term, but his legacy was cemented after his presidency, working as a humanitarian. Doug Proffitt and editor Joe Federle have a look back on his life and that visit to Kentuckiana in 1979.
Mr. President, my name is Sean Contrell and I live right here in Bardstown. And what would the circumstances have to be before you ration gas should Congress give you their permission to do so?
Very good. Thank you. Good question. It will not be implemented. We'll put the rationing plan on the shelf as a standby, but we'll be ready.
And so our coverage began Tuesday, July 31st, 1979. The WHAS 11 News team was live in Louisville and Bardstown, setting the stage. A lot at stake.
Good evening. I'm Jim Mitchell reporting live from Bardstown High School. Jimmy Carter, with his presidency on the line, has tried to come back to the people with the first of what he said will be many town meetings around the country.
Carter had canceled the Bardstown visit 3 weeks earlier, but then rescheduled. The Nelson County Chamber of Commerce sold out of the 2,000 Carter buttons for $1 apiece and $5 T-shirts with Carter's photo.
For over a block, he crossed and recrossed the street. Every face and sign along the parade route was friendly.
But before Bardstown, he touched down in Louisville and headed to southwest Jefferson County.
The president's helicopter, along with the choppers of the other VIPs and the press, are just now landing for their tour of the LG&E Cane Run Road power plant.
He was all smiles. On the inside, he looked ready for business with his suit coat off and shirt sleeves rolled up.
The country was in the middle of an energy crisis, and in a sign of how politics have changed, the Democratic president was pushing for coal.
To show on national news what he's been talking about for some time, a greater commitment to coal as a national energy source. Kirsty?
It was also an opportunity for the president to spread his message that in states like Kentucky, there is plenty of fuel to help make us energy independent of the OPEC oil cartel.
It's absolute folly for the United States to ship billions of dollars overseas each year to bring tankers of foreign oil to our shores, while beneath our feet, in your great state of Kentucky and others, lie more than 300 years of coal reserves just waiting to be mined and waiting to be used.
Our coverage pointed out the irony of Carter's visit to the LG&E plant in the polluted era of the 1970s.
He did not say, however, that this plant alone sends 3,000 tons of ash and dirt into the air every year and 250,000 tons of sulfur dioxide, even with the scrubbers.
I will not permit America to be forced to choose between breathing foul air and having our waters filthy on the one hand, or mortgaging our future to the OPEC oil cartel.
The president impressed this LG&E worker.
How did it make you feel overall?
Well, made me feel good. Being, close to a president, never had been that close to one before. And I was surprised at his size. I thought he was bigger than what he was.
The visit of the 39th president, a full day and one to remember in Kentucky.
His plane is on the runway at Standiford Field at this moment, ready to take off.
Meantime, in Bardstown, our Jim Mitchell got the final word from Gladys Razor of Bath County, Kentucky.
What happened when he came out?
Oh, when he came out, well, I was going to shake hands with him, so I had to cut the rope.
Was that necessary?
Oh, no, it wasn't necessary, and I did. I enjoyed it very much.
That's fine.
I think he's a wonderful man. If we, the people of the United States, would only stand behind him.
That was the summer of 1979. When the 1980 election came around that fall, Republican Ronald Reagan would beat Jimmy Carter in Kentucky by 20,000 votes. Reagan would also win solidly Democratic Louisville and Jefferson County. But in Nelson County, where the president spent that sweltering day in July, Jimmy Carter won by a big margin. In fact, like Gladys told our Jim Mitchell there, they loved him. With the WHAS 11 archives, Doug Proffitt, WHAS 11 News.
Tributes for the 39th president are already pouring in, including from Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. He posted, quote, "Jimmy Carter was a true American. He lived through his faith and values each and every day, lifting up his neighbors and serving our great country through kindness and compassion." And Senator Mitch McConnell shared this statement, saying in part, quote, "As Jimmy Carter is reunited with his beloved Rosalind, our thoughts and prayers are with their children, their grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and the millions of Americans whose lives were touched by his service. We join them in mourning, but also in celebrating that Jimmy Carter is now reaping an eternal harvest in heaven," end quote.